How's it going, guys? My name is Dice. Welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'm going to be showing you guys the best camera settings for your playstyle. And I want to preface by saying that there is no number one best camera settings, to be honest with you, but there's definitely camera settings you can select that will aid towards your style of playing, right? But yeah, and before we actually get into the content of the video, I want to thank you guys so much for all the love and support on my recent videos. Really does go a long way. Um, but yeah, let's just get straight into it. So, the best camera settings for your play style. I just want to watch this crazy. Sorry. Okay, so you have your camera shake. We'll start with that. So if your camera shake's on, every time you jump, every time you touch the ball, your camera shakes, right? And that could hinder your vision, right? It's really not that you're never gonna see any pro with camera shake on, just because it's kind of troll. But I honestly don't think it's that big of a deal. Like you'll just notice that your camera's shaking all the time, and it's just pretty annoying. That's really all it is. Like you could still have it on, but it's just like every time you jump, um, your camera's shaking a little bit, and I don't really like it. So I'm gonna turn that off, but you can keep that on. That's preference. Oh, most of this is preference, by the way, just to point that out. Field of view. So I'm gonna talk about two regions, Europe and North America. So in Europe, a lot of players, like for example, Zen, Monkey Moon, Vatira, Atomic, Fairy Peak. A lot of these players actually use a little bit lower FOV, and the reason for this is what I can assume is the reason. Most of them don't even speak English, so. But what I can assume the only reason is because um, when you're closer, you can see more of your car, right? So like look right here, and now look right here. You see how I can't see like up here anymore, but I get more of the actual field. What they'll do is they'll go like here. Now I can actually, this is mainly for more grinded players, but I can see exactly where the ball is on my car, and then you'll be able to get a really good flick consistently. I mean, I could already flick really consistently, not to float my boat. So I mean, I'm not saying if you switch these camera settings, you'll be able to flick perfectly every time, but it's just really good for being more precise. But you don't need it, right? Like it's minuscule. It's a minuscule change, and so well, I actually can't flick right now. And so yeah, I like to stick to the 110 range, but 170 to 110, whichever you prefer. It's just the more FOV you have, the more you can see of the actual map. Obviously, that's what FOV means, field of view. You have more view with the higher FOV. Um, so yeah, FOV 170 to 110 is a good range. Distance is kind of complicated, so the range is from 250 to 290, right? No one really uses above that. Some players go like 310, 300, but the main range is going to be from 250 to 290, and this is interchangeable with your height, right? So height, the range is 90 to 120. Not really 120, more like 110. 90 to 110 is the common ranges. Of course, there's outliers with you like 120, 130, but I like to stick from 90 to 120, occasionally 80. But so for distance, let's say for example, let's just take a step back. What is distance, right? You can see at the bottom, it says controls how far your camera is behind your car, right? So it's kind of like another way to change your FOV, kind of. So if I have really high distance, right? You see how I can see more of the map technically, but this is actually really funny to look at. I'm not even gonna, I could probably play like this. This would be a fun video, I think. Like playing ranked like this or something. This is actually crazy. Anyway, oh what? Sorry guys, I'm getting super sidetracked right now. But anyways, you can see more of the map technically, but you sacrifice a lot of detail. So the closer you are to your car, the more you can actually see, right? So a lot of people like to do 250, and the reason for this is because you're super close, you can still see all the details, and you don't sacrifice too much of the map, right? Because you always want to know what's going on. Um, so yeah, a lot of people like to go 250, 90, 260, 100, 270, 110, and then they'll stick to 110 through 280 and 290. So 290, 110, this is what this looks like. This is very common, a very common camera setting. Um, yeah, so I'll show you 280, 110. Not very different. You're just a little bit closer. This is a really, I rock this sometimes, to be honest with you. Um, But yeah, I mean, bang. So, and then 270, 110. I don't know if I already showed that. But yeah, you're just getting closer and closer. You don't really want to go under 270 or 110. Like for example, if I was at 260, 110, you'll notice that the distance is closer than the height, right? So for example, the height right here, it's how high you are above the car. So if I have the distance at the same set as the height, then it's going to get to the point where it's kind of pointless to have a distance this low. Um, it's just you don't gain anything, right? Because the height is already helping you out with seeing other things. So you want to stick in the 80 to 90 range. But if you're coming down here, you should be in the 100 because now you're actually playing for a play style, right? Like I said, this is meant for each play style. So we're going to get into that now. So if there's two types of players, by the way. There's only two types of players. There's grounded players and air-based players. That's it. I don't really care. That's just how it works. Um, the way to know if you're a grounded player or an air-based player is if you catch yourself like you're playing twos or threes or even ones and you're in a 1v1, how do you play that 1v1? Do you go for an air drill bump? Do you opt for an air drill bump? Do you go for a flick? Do you go for like a ceiling shot pinch? I can't even do it. Whatever you decide to do it, like when you're in a 1v1 situation, is kind of like what you're telling your mind. This is the best chance I have of scoring. Right, that's what you subconsciously tell yourself. So whatever you find yourself doing more, you're gonna opt for these camera settings. Not specifically, but just like these types of camera settings. So if you're a ground-based player, I'd go for like the lower range, so you can see more of your car. This is for ground-based players, by the way. You want to opt for closer camera settings as well. So around 260, 90. This range is really good as well. Um, or 270, 100. I'd stick to those two ranges if you're a ground-based player. And we'll go to the angle. So angle is, I mean, obviously the angle that your car is facing, or the camera's facing the car. So for example, if I go to like a -10 angle or -13 angle, it's like almost like I'm pulling the stick down, right? And the more you put it up, the more it's like you're pulling your stick up, right? So no one really does this angle. This is just weird. Um, so a good rule of thumb is sorry about that. Is sticking from anywhere from the -5 to -3 angle, right? So I'll show you each of them. -3 here. So this is the grounded angle, by the way. Sorry, I don't even know why I'm going in the air if I'm trying to show you grounded stuff. This is the grounded angle. As you can see, my flicks are still pretty good. That was 107 kilometers per hour. That one's probably slow. 91 kilometers per hour. That's a really good one. 110 kilometers per hour. That's probably slow. 70 kilometers per hour. So yeah, you get the point. So -3 to -5, let's say -4. Not much different. Just a little bit higher up. I'll shoot one on target here. Probably 100, 109. No, it's terrible. I'm not counting that. Oh my gosh. I need a new controller. 100, 101. I keep doing like an empty flip. 70, that would have been 100 though. Okay, so you get the point. And then -5, I'll do 200 kilometer shots. That's probably not 100 kilometers. 102, that's shocking. Definitely not 185, hold on. There we go, that's definitely 100 if that's in. That doesn't count. That was 100 by the way. Whatever, you get it. I prefer the -3 range. This is really good for me, personally. Um, and then this stuff, stiffness. So stiffness is the difference in what your car will look like with 0 speed and with full speed. So example, if I have like 0 stiffness, you'll see how it will change the most, right? Like it's gonna change. Like so, see, this is what it looks like with no speed at all, and look how it changes. And this is what I look like with max speed, supersonic speed. Now, if we just go to the most extreme, the max, you'll see that my car looks like this right now, and even at full speed, looks the exact same. Right? It doesn't change at all. People from Europe like flakes. use max stiffness, and I think Lethemir, North America, semi-pro player, content creator now, uses max stiffness as well, but I'm not completely sure on that. So yeah, I personally like to stick around the 0.45 to 0.55 range. So if you're a grinder-based player, I'd stick to 0.55 because when you're going full speed when you're dribbling, you still want to have full control of the ball, right? Like you still want to know where the ball's going and can you still flick it, right? So did you notice that with lower ranked players, it's typically really hard to keep control of the ball when you're full speed? And so like you'll notice like when I'm full speed, I still have full control of the ball. Right there I didn't, but most of the time I do. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So swivel speed is just how fast you can turn your camera like this. Like if I look left and right, you don't want this crazy high because then that will kind of like it's just like snapping, which I don't like. I like the middle range, like you know 5. This is just personal preference completely. This doesn't matter at all really. But this is a good range for me. And then a lot of people don't agree with me here. I say transition speed on 1.7. A lot of people think this is like snapping, like like cracking your like snapping your neck. But like I think if you go any higher than this, that's an actual snap. Like that's actually hurting my head a little bit. But like a typical range is anywhere from 1.3 to 1.6. I use 1.7 just because like if I'm going for boost, I want to know really quickly. I don't really have time. Like so if I go for oops, if I go for like this, look how long it takes me to snap back. Like bro, that's just too slow for me. So I like to have it relatively high. I'm not suggesting this 1.7. It's just what I like. This is preference, by the way. So don't copy. Like you don't have to copy these last three. Invert swivel is just if you put your joystick down, it will look up. Up, it'll look down. I don't like that. But yeah, that's for your grinded base players, which is kind of odd because I don't know why I didn't have it on 107 because 107 is supposed to be for the grinded. Um, but yeah, so now for air-based players, so you're gonna want a bit higher height and higher distance like this. Like this is a really good um, this is a really good camera setting that a lot of pros use. So, and keep in mind you can do mechanics on both these camera settings, right? Like I could sit in the air for the whole video, or I could sit on the ground for the whole video. The camera settings do not really matter that big, but it's just like helping you make micro adjustments based on where you're playing. So yeah, 107 is for ground, so 110 for air, 290, 110. That's really good. Like you see, like I just have so much control. Like I know exactly where it's going. Um, like you're not gonna catch me missing an aerial on these camera settings, you know. And also for air dribbles, these are broken for air dribbles. So like if I want to go for an air dribble, look at this, bro. Okay, never mind. That was actually terrible. Let me try again. I actually never go for air dribbles. Yeah, okay. I actually can't even air dribble. That's crazy. That's crazy. I never air dribble. Let me try one more time. That's actually too embarrassing. That's technically an air dribble. It's really poor. I'm not good at. I never do air dribbles, but yeah. So 290, 110, or you can go 290, 100. It's pretty much the same thing. It's just a little bit more grounded. You know, it's all like, you know, just pretty basic stuff. So then angle. I like to stick in the 5 angle. -5, I don't even like to go around here. -5 is just like a really good angle. Um, so I mean, there's really nothing much to even say about the angle. It's just you want -5 if you're always in the air. Just because you can see more, right? That's always an advantage. Is information is the most important thing in any game you play. Stiffness 0.45. That's a really good stiffness. Um, and then swivel speed and transition speed doesn't matter. I keep them both no matter camera, like high or low. And if you're wondering which camera settings I personally use, it varies, right? Because I don't know if you guys can tell by the way I play, but I'm not grounded or like an air-based player. Like I know I said at the beginning of the video, there's one of two players. And if you're wondering what do I go for in a 1v1, I go for an air dribble bump every time. Like in my actual like main account ranked games, because that's the best way to score. there's no way to counter a perfect air drill bump. It's impossible. If you do it completely right, you just cannot counter an air drill bump. Doesn't matter how good you are. It's just not gonna happen. So I always go for that. But like in terms of like my actual gameplay, like if I want to kick off and I win the ball, I'll go up the wall every time because there's so many options, right? I could go into a double reset. I could go into a triple reset. It's just there's so many options I could do. I could do that double reset play, or if I get contested right here, I can just go for the reset and then try to pass it, right? I actually missed my second reset there, but that's pretty much it, right? Like camera settings are just really, it's all preference. I'm just trying to help you guys choose the right preference. I mean, everyone knows that camera settings, everyone has their own camera settings. Everyone knows that. But I'm just trying to, bring you guys to the light that different playstyles can aid in different camera settings. Like it would be silly for someone who stays really grounded like Flakes to um, have high camera settings when he's never in the air. That would just be dumb, right? So you want to be smart with what you're doing, and yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what kind of videos you guys want to see, and yeah, peace.